They thought they could hurt you, they thought they could cut you down, strip you bare, leave you trembling in the shadows of their cruelty. They thought their words, their actions, their silence would be the end of you. They thought you'd shatter into 1,000 irreparable pieces, that you'd collapse under the weight of their betrayal, their indifference, their malice. They thought you'd stay down, but they were wrong. Because here you are, still standing, still breathing, still fighting. And though the wound is fresh, though the pain is sharp and unrelenting, though it feels like the world has caved in around you, there's something they didn't account for, something they couldn't see. A fire, a spark, a whisper of defiance that refuses to be extinguished. Let me take you back to the moment it happened. The moment the ground beneath you split open, the moment the air was ripped from your lungs, the moment you realized the world was not as safe as you thought it was. Maybe it was a word, a single cutting word that sliced through your soul like a blade. Maybe it was a betrayal, a hand you trusted pushing you into the abyss. Maybe it was a loss so profound it felt like the sun would never rise again. Whatever it was, it left a mark, a scar, a wound that throbs in the quiet hours of the night, that pulses with every step you take, that reminds you over and over again of what they did to you. Pain is not just a feeling, it's a presence. It's a weight that settles on your chest, a shadow that follows you everywhere, a voice that whispers in your ear, "You're not enough, you never were." It's the way your heart races when you remember, the way your hands tremble when you try to hold on, the way your throat tightens when you try to speak. It's sharp, like shards of glass cutting through your skin. It's heavy, like a stone dragging you to the bottom of the ocean. It's suffocating, like a hand around your throat, stealing your breath, your voice, your light. And it's relentless. It doesn't care if you're tired, it doesn't care if you're broken, it doesn't care if you're begging for it to stop. It just keeps coming, wave after wave, until you're drowning in it. But here's the thing about pain. It's not just a destroyer, it's a revealer. It shows you what you're made of. It strips away the layers of who you thought you were, who they told you to be, and leaves you raw, exposed, real. And in that rawness, in that exposure, there's power. A power they can't touch, a power they can't take away. A power that grows in the darkness, that thrives in the struggle, that rises from the ashes of everything they tried to destroy. They thought they could break you. They thought you'd stay down. But what if they were wrong? What if this pain, this wound, this moment of impact is not the end of your story? What if it's the beginning? What if it's the spark that ignites the fire, the seed that grows into something unshakable, the storm that clears the path for something new? What if this is where you rise? What if this is where you turn pain into power? The choice is yours. You can let the wound define you, let it fester, let it consume you, or you can let it transform you. You can let it be the catalyst for something greater, something stronger, something they never saw coming. The pain is real, the hurt is real, but so are you, and you are so much more than they ever thought you could be. So what will you do with this pain? Will you let it break you, or will you let it build you? The answer is in your hands, and the world is waiting to see what you'll do next. The wound may heal, but the echo remains. It's there in the quiet moments, in the spaces between breaths, in the way you flinch at a memory, a word, a look. It's there in the way you second-guess yourself, in the way you hold back, in the way you build walls where there used to be bridges. Pain doesn't just leave a scar, it leaves a shadow, a ghost, a weight that follows you everywhere, whispering lies, feeding doubts, reminding you of what you've lost, what you've endured, what you've survived. And though you try to outrun it, though you try to bury it, though you try to pretend it doesn't exist, it's always there. Always. Let me tell you about the echoes, about the woman who flinches every time her partner raises their voice, not because they're angry, but because someone else once was. About the man who can't trust, not because people have proven themselves untrustworthy, but because someone he loved once shattered that trust into 1,000 pieces. About the child who hides their light not because they don't have any, but because someone once told them it was too bright. These are the invisible scars, the ones no one sees but you, the ones that shape your decisions, your relationships, your life, and they're heavy, so heavy. Pain is a ghost. It haunts you. It shows up in the most unexpected moments, a song on the radio, a smell in the air, a phrase someone says, and suddenly you're back there. Back in the moment it happened. Back in the moment you felt powerless, broken, lost. And it's not just a memory, it's a feeling, a visceral, gut-wrenching feeling that takes your breath away, that makes your heart race, that makes you want to run, to hide, to disappear. But you can't, because the ghost is inside you, and no matter how far you run, it's always there. Pain is a weight. It's the heaviness in your chest when you wake up in the morning. It's the exhaustion in your bones at the end of the day. It's the voice in your head that says, "You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. You're not enough, and it's relentless. It doesn't care if you're tired, it doesn't care if you're trying, it doesn't care if you're doing your best. It just keeps pressing down, 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 until you feel like you can't take it anymore. But here's the thing about shadows. They can't exist without light. And here's the thing about ghosts. They only have power if you let them. And here's the thing about weight. You don't have to carry it forever. You don't have to let it define you. You don't have to let it hold you back. Because you are stronger than the pain, you are braver than the ghost. You are bigger than the shadow. And though it may not feel like it right now, though it may feel like the echoes will never fade, like the weight will never lift, like the ghost will never leave, there is hope, there is light, there is a way forward. You've been carrying this for too long. Isn't it heavy? Isn't it exhausting? Isn't it time to put it down, to face the ghost, to step into the light? The choice is yours. You can keep carrying the weight, keep running from the ghost, keep hiding in the shadow, or you can take a step, just one step, toward the light, toward the hope, toward the future. The echoes may never fully disappear, but they don't have to control you. They don't have to define you. They don't have to hold you back, because you are more than your pain. You are more than your past. You are more than the echoes, and the world is waiting for you to rise. There comes a moment, a single fleeting moment, when something shifts, when the weight you've been carrying feels too heavy to bear, when the ghost you've been running from feels too close to ignore, when the shadow you've been hiding in feels too dark to stay. And in that moment, something inside you stirs. A spark, a flicker, a flame. It's small at first, barely noticeable, but it's there, and it's powerful, because it's not just a feeling, it's a realization, a revelation, a reckoning. It's the moment you realize that you don't have to stay down, that you don't have to keep carrying the weight, that you don't have to let the pain define you. It's the moment you realize that pain is not just a wound, it's a catalyst, a teacher, a fire, and it's here to transform you. Let me tell you about the awakening, about the woman who lost everything, her job, her home, her sense of self, and found herself in the process, about the man who hit rock bottom, only to discover that rock bottom was the foundation he needed to rebuild, about the child who was told they'd never amount to anything, only to grow up and prove everyone wrong. These are the stories of transformation. The stories of people who didn't just survive their pain, they used it. They turned it into fuel, into fire, into purpose. And you can too. Pain is a phoenix. It burns you down to ashes, but from those ashes, you rise. Stronger, braver, more powerful than before. It's not easy, it's not quick, it's not painless, but it's possible, and it's worth it. Because when you rise, you don't just rise for yourself. You rise for everyone who's ever been told they can't, for everyone who's ever been knocked down, for everyone who's ever felt the weight of the world on their shoulders. You rise to show them that it's possible, that they can do it too, that they are not alone. Pain is a seed. It's buried deep in the dirt, in the darkness, in the cold. But even in the darkest, coldest places, life finds a way. The seed cracks open, the roots reach down, the stem pushes up, and suddenly, there's green where there was only gray. There's life where there was only death. There's hope where there was only despair. And though the journey is hard, though the concrete is thick, though the obstacles are many, the seed doesn't stop. It keeps pushing, it keeps growing, it keeps reaching for the light. And so can you. You feel it, don't you? That fire in your chest, that whisper saying enough, that spark that refuses to be extinguished. It's there and it's growing. It's telling you that you don't have to stay down, that you don't have to keep carrying the weight, that you don't have to let the pain define you. It's telling you that you are stronger than you think, braver than you know, more powerful than you realize, and it's right. What if this is your moment? What if this is the moment you stop running, stop hiding, stop carrying the weight? What if this is the moment you rise? What if this is the moment you turn your pain into power? The choice is yours. You can stay in the ashes, in the dirt, in the shadow, or you can rise, you can grow, you can step into the light. The world is waiting for you, and it's time to show them what you're made of. The awakening is just the beginning. The spark, the realization, the moment of clarity, it's powerful, but it's not enough, because transformation is not a single moment. It's a battle, a storm, a climb. It's a daily, hourly, moment-by-moment fight to reclaim your power, to rebuild your life, to rise from the ashes of what was and create something new. And it's hard, so hard. There will be days when the weight feels too heavy, when the ghost feels too close, when the shadow feels too dark. There will be days when you want to give up, to give in, to go back to the way things were. But those are the days that matter most. Those are the days that define you. Those are the days that prove just how strong you really are. Let me tell you about the fight, about the woman who lost her husband, her home, her sense of security, and had to rebuild her life from the ground up. About the man who battled addiction, who faced his demons head on, who fought for every single day of sobriety. About the child who was bullied, who was told they'd never amount to anything, who refused to believe it and fought to prove them wrong. These are the stories of resilience, the stories of grit, the stories of determination. And they're not pretty, they're messy, they're painful, they're real, but they're also beautiful, because they show what's possible when you refuse to give up, when you refuse to back down, when you refuse to let the pain win. Pain is a battle. It's a war waged on the battlefield of your mind, your heart, your soul. And the enemy is relentless. It's the voice that says, you can't, the fear that says, you won't, the doubt that says, you're not enough. But you are the general of this army. You are the one who decides how to fight, when to fight, whether to fight. And though the battle may be long, though the enemy may be strong, though the odds may seem impossible, you have something they don't. You have fire. You have grit. You have a reason to fight. And that makes all the difference. Pain is a storm. It's thunder and lightning, wind and rain, chaos and destruction. And when you're in the middle of it, it feels like it will never end. Like you'll never see the sun again. Like you'll never find your way out. But storms don't last forever, and neither does pain. The key is to keep going, to keep moving, to keep fighting. Because on the other side of the storm is calm. On the other side of the pain is peace. On the other side of the fight is victory. Pain is a mountain. It's steep, it's rocky, it's exhausting. And every step feels like a battle. But here's the thing about mountains. They're not climbed in a single step. They're climbed one step at a time, one breath at a time. And though the climb is hard, though the path is uncertain, though the summit seems impossibly far away, every step forward is a victory. Every step forward is progress. Every step forward is proof that you can do this, that you are doing this, that you will do this. You think it's too hard? Good, that means it's worth it. The things that matter most, the things that change us, that shape us, that define us, are never easy. They're messy, they're painful, they're hard, but they're worth it. Because on the other side of the fight is freedom. On the other side of the storm is peace. On the other side of the mountain is a view that takes your breath away, and you're closer than you think. Every step forward is a victory. Every breath you take is a triumph. Every moment you keep going is proof that you are stronger than the pain, braver than the fear, more powerful than the doubt. So keep going, keep fighting, keep climbing. The world is waiting for you, and you're closer than you think. The fight is long, the climb is steep, the storm is relentless, but then, suddenly, it happens. The breakthrough. The moment when the weight lifts, the ghost fades, the shadow dissolves. The moment when pain becomes power. When the fire that once burned you down becomes the flame that lights your way. When the seed that was buried in the dirt breaks through the concrete and reaches for the sun. When the phoenix rises not just from the ashes but into the sky. It's a moment of triumph, a moment of transformation, a moment of truth, and it's worth every single step of the journey. Let me tell you about the breakthrough, about the woman who turned her grief into a foundation that helps others heal, about the man who channeled his anger into art that inspires millions, about the child who used their pain to fuel a movement that changes lives. These are the stories of triumph, the stories of people who didn't just survive their pain, they transformed it. They turned it into something beautiful, something powerful, something lasting. And you can too. Pain is light breaking through darkness. It's the first rays of dawn after the longest night. It's the flicker of a candle in a pitch-black room. Though the darkness may feel endless, though the night may feel eternal, though the room may feel suffocating, the light always finds a way. It always breaks through. It always wins. And so can you. Pain is chains breaking. It's the sound of metal snapping, of walls crumbling, of barriers falling. It's the moment you realize you're free, that you've always been free, that the chains were never as strong as you thought they were, that the walls were never as high as they seemed, that the barriers were never as insurmountable as they appeared. And though the journey to freedom is hard, though the fight to break the chains is long, though the climb to tear down the walls is steep, the moment of breakthrough is worth it, because on the other side of the chains is freedom. On the other side of the walls is possibility. On the other side of the barriers is power. This could be you. This will be you. The woman who turns her pain into purpose, the man who channels his anger into art, the child who fuels a movement, the phoenix who rises, the seed that breaks through, the light that shines, the chains that break. This is your moment. This is your breakthrough. This is your triumph. And it's closer than you think. What will you create from your pain? What will you build from the ashes? What will you grow from the seed? What will you shine into the darkness? What will you break free from? The choice is yours, the power is yours, the future is yours, and the world is waiting to see what you'll do with it. The breakthrough is just the beginning, because pain is not just something to survive, something to transform. It's raw material waiting to be shaped, molded, forged into something beautiful, something powerful, something new. This is the alchemy of pain. The process of turning lead into gold, ashes into art, wounds into wisdom. And though it's not easy, though it's messy, though it's painful, it's possible. And you are capable of the impossible. Let me show you how. Let me show you the steps, the tools, the mindset shifts that will help you turn your pain into power. Let me show you how to take the raw, unfiltered emotions of your hurt and channel them into something that heals, that inspires, that transforms. This is not just about surviving. This is about thriving. This is about creating something beautiful from the broken pieces. And you can do it. Pain is alchemy. It's the process of taking something base, something heavy, something dark, and turning it into something precious, something light, something bright. It's not magic, it's work, it's intention, it's choice. And it starts with a single decision: to see your pain not as a burden, but as a gift. Not as a curse, but as a catalyst. Not as an end, but as a beginning. Pain is forging. It's the fire that tempers you, the hammer that shapes you, the anvil that strengthens you. And though the process is hard, though the heat is intense, though the blows are relentless, the result is worth it. Because on the other side of the fire is strength. On the other side of the hammer is resilience. On the other side of the anvil is power. And you are being forged into something unbreakable. Pain is creation. It's the blank canvas, the empty page, the lump of clay. And though it may feel overwhelming, though it may feel impossible, though it may feel like you don't know where to start, the act of creation is in your hands. You are the artist, you are the writer, you are the sculptor, and the masterpiece is yours to create. Here's how to start. First, reframe your pain. See it not as something that happened to you, but as something that happened for you. A lesson, a teacher, a catalyst. Second, take action. Channel your pain into something tangible, a project, a goal, a dream. Third, embrace the process. Understand that transformation is not linear, that there will be highs and lows, that it's okay to stumble as long as you keep going. And finally, trust yourself. Trust that you have what it takes. Trust that you are capable of the impossible. Trust that you are creating something beautiful. It's not easy, but it's possible, and you're capable of the impossible. You are the alchemist. You are the forger. You are the creator. And the raw material is in your hands. The fire is lit. The hammer is ready. The canvas is waiting. All that's left is for you to begin. Start today. Start now. Take the first step. Make the first mark. Shape the first piece. The world is waiting for your masterpiece, and it's time to show them what you're made of. Your transformation is not just about you. It's not just about your healing, your growth, your power. It's about the ripple effect. The way your story, your strength, your light touches the lives of others. The way your pain, once a burden, becomes a beacon. The way your journey, once solitary, becomes a path for others to follow. Because when you rise, you don't just rise for yourself. You rise for everyone who's ever been hurt, everyone who's ever been broken, everyone who's ever felt the weight of the world on their shoulders. And your rise creates ripples. Ripples of hope, ripples of courage, ripples of change. Let me tell you about the ripple. About the woman who shared her story of survival and inspired a community to heal. About the man who turned his pain into a movement that changed laws, changed lives, changed the world. About the child who stood up to their bullies and gave others the courage to do the same. These are the stories of impact. The stories of how one person's transformation can inspire countless others. And your story is no different. Your pain has a purpose, your story has power, and your ripple is just beginning. Pain is a ripple in water. It starts small, a single drop, a single moment, a single wound, but it spreads, it touches everything around it, it changes the surface, the depth, the flow. And though the ripple may start with pain, it doesn't have to end there. Because your healing, your growth, your transformation creates ripples too. Ripples of hope, ripples of strength, ripples of light, and those ripples can change the world. Pain is light spreading. It's the first flicker of a flame in the darkness. It's the first ray of dawn after the longest night. And though the light may start small, though it may seem insignificant, though it may feel like it's not enough, it spreads, it grows, it illuminates. And suddenly the darkness is not so dark, the night is not so long, the world is not so heavy, because your light is shining and is touching everyone around you. Your pain has a purpose, your story has power, and your transformation is not just about you. It's about the lives you'll touch, the hearts you'll heal, the minds you'll change. It's about the ripple effect. The way your strength becomes someone else's courage. The way your light becomes someone else's hope. The way your rise becomes someone else's inspiration. And the ripple is just beginning. Who will you inspire? Who will you touch? Who will you change? The choice is yours, the power is yours, the ripple is yours, and the world is waiting for your light. So shine, rise, create ripples. Because your pain has a purpose, your story has power, and your transformation is just the beginning. Your pain is not just a moment, it's not just a wound, it's not just a story, it's a legacy of strength, of resilience, of power, a legacy that will outlive you, that will touch generations, that will change the world. Because when you turn your pain into purpose, when you channel your hurt into healing, when you transform your wounds into wisdom, you're not just building a life, you're building a legacy. And the world needs your legacy. Let me tell you about the legacy. About the woman who turned her grief into a foundation that helps thousands heal. About the man who used his pain to build an empire that empowers millions. About the child who grew up to create a family that thrives on love, not fear. These are the stories of legacy, the stories of people who didn't just survive their pain, they built something lasting from it, something powerful, something eternal. And you can too. Pain is planting trees. It's digging deep into the dirt, into the darkness, into the unknown. It's putting something small, something fragile, something vulnerable into the ground and trusting that it will grow. And though you may not see the fruit, though you may not feel the shade, though you may not taste the harvest, the tree will grow and it will outlive you. It will touch generations, it will change the world. And so can you. Pain is building monuments. It's taking the broken pieces, the shattered dreams, the heavy stones, and stacking them one by one. It's creating something solid, something lasting, something eternal. And though the work is hard, though the stones are heavy, though the process is slow, the monument will stand, and it will tell your story. It will inspire others. It will change the world, and so can you. What will they say about you when you're gone? What will you leave behind? Will they talk about your pain or your power, your wounds or your wisdom, your struggles or your strength? The choice is yours, the legacy is yours, and the time to build it is now. Start building your legacy today. Take the first step, plant the first seed, lay the first stone. Because your pain is not just a moment, it's a legacy, and the world is waiting for your monument. So build, plant, create, and leave a legacy that will outlive you, that will touch generations, that will change the world. The weight you've been carrying, the change you've been dragging, the ghost you've been running from, it's time to let it go. It's time to release the past, to shed the pain, to step into the freedom that's been waiting for you all along. Because freedom is not just a destination, it's a choice, a decision, a moment, and that moment is now. Let me tell you about freedom, about the woman who forgave the person who hurt her and found peace for the first time in years, about the man who let go of the anger that had been eating him alive and finally felt the weight lift, about the child who stopped running from their past and started running toward their future. These are the stories of freedom, the stories of release, the stories of renewal, and they're not just stories, they're possibilities, they're invitations, they're proof that you can let go, that you can be free, that you can fly. Pain is chains. They're heavy, they're cold, they're constricting. And though they may feel like a part of you, though they may feel like they'll never come off, though they may feel like they're all you've ever known, they're not. They're just chains. And chains can be broken. Chains can be shed. Chains can be left behind. And when they are, you'll feel it. The lightness, the freedom, the possibility. And it will change everything. Pain is a cage. It's bars and locks and walls. It's the feeling of being trapped, of being stuck, of being small. But here's the thing about cages. They're not as strong as they seem. The bars can bend, the locks can break, the walls can fall, and when they do, you'll feel it. The wind on your face, the sun on your skin, the sky above you, and you'll realize that you were never meant to be caged. You were meant to fly. You don't have to carry it anymore. You don't have to drag it anymore. You don't have to run from it anymore. Let it go, release it, shed it, because the past is not your prison. The pain is not your identity. The chains are not your destiny. You are free. You have always been free. And the world is waiting for you to step into that freedom. What will you do with your freedom? What will you do with your freedom? Will you run toward your future? Will you chase your dreams? Will you fly? The choice is yours. The freedom is yours. And the moment is now. So let go, step forward, and embrace the freedom that's been waiting for you all along. This is it. The moment you've been fighting for, the moment you've been climbing toward, the moment you've been waiting for, the moment you step fully into your power. The moment you own your story, the moment you show the world what you're made of. Because you are not just a survivor. You are a warrior, a creator, a force, and the world needs your power. Let me tell you about power, about the woman who stood on stage and told her story to thousands, her voice shaking but strong, her tears falling but her head held high. About the man who walked into the boardroom, not as the boy who was told he'd never amount to anything, but as the CEO of a company that changes lives. About the child who grew up to lead a movement, not as the victim of their past, but as the hero of their future. These are the stories of power. The stories of people who didn't just survive their pain. They owned it. They transformed it. They became it, and you can too. Pain is a storm clearing. It's the moment the clouds part, the rain stops, the sun breaks through. It's the moment you realize the storm wasn't the end, it was the beginning. The beginning of clarity, the beginning of peace, the beginning of power. And though the storm may have been fierce, though the rain may have been relentless, though the clouds may have been dark, the sun is shining now, and it's shining on you. Pain is a sunrise. It's the first light after the longest night. It's the colors painting the sky, the warmth touching your skin, the promise of a new day. And though the night may have been long, though the darkness may have been heavy, though the weight may have been hard, the sunrise is here, and it's here for you. Pain is a new beginning. It's the first step on a new path, the first word in a new story, the first breath of a new life. And though the path may be uncertain, though the story may be unwritten, though the life may be unfamiliar, the beginning is yours, and it's full of possibility. This is your moment. This is your sunrise. This is your new beginning. This is your power, and it's time to take it, to own it, to live it, because you are not just a survivor. You are a warrior, a creator, a force, and the world needs your power. They thought they could hurt you. They thought they could break you. They thought they could silence you, but they were wrong, because you turned pain into power. You turned wounds into wisdom. You turned scars into strength, and now it's time to show the world what you're made of. Go, take your power, own your story, create your legacy. The world is waiting for you, and it's time to rise.